Hi, welcome to Switching Mindsets. This is Anuradha. Today I'm speaking to Dr. Rajiv Kovil and Dr. Ami Shah, who are both co-founders of Xandra Healthcare. Dr. Rajiv is a diabetologist. He's also the founder member of United Diabetes Forum and very passionate about the project Blue Dot for several years now. Dr. Ami Shah, the co-founder, is also a brand expert and marketer. And along with Dr. Kovil, they have conceptualized the initiative called Rang De Neela, a unique amalgamation of art and health. So over to them. Hi, Dr. Kovil and Dr.
Hi,
Ami Shah.
Anuradha.
Yeah.
Hi, Anuradha.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having us here. I'm Dr. Rajiv Kovil, practicing in the western suburbs of Mumbai for past 25 years. And as you said about Blue Dot, this whole thought that was that when you step outside your home and you want to eat healthy, how does one choose across India? You don't get healthy food anywhere in India. There is no place which serves healthy food, and we keep telling our patients that you need to eat X kind of food, you need to have portion control, you need to cut down your calories. But practicing that or preaching that is easy, but practicing that for a person who steps out at 8 o'clock, comes back at 10 o'clock, where he has probably 2 or 3 meals a day, whether it's a metro, a two-tier city, a village, doesn't matter. He doesn't find good food, healthy food in India. That's when we decided to conceptualize a concept called as the Blue Dot, where green, as we know that the FSSAI has green and red dots to signify vegetarian and non-vegetarian food. So a vegetarian can easily identify that this is vegetarian food and this is what I can consume easily. Blue Dot was done on the same basis that we had experts across the country sit down and come up to a scoring that what signifies a diabetes and friendly food. We didn't say it's diabetic food. We said it's diabetes friendly. And we took a food which matches all the tick boxes that is required for a diabetes friendly food. And then whether it's a recipe, the type of cooking, the ingredients which go into, needs to reach a particular amount of scoring to be called as the Blue Dot. And the Blue Dot has been a dream for the last 11 to 12 years. We worked on it, we failed, we again working on it. So I think someday we will have the Blue Dot on diabetes friendly food, and it has to be a scientifically driven Blue Dot where anybody and everybody cannot put a Blue Dot and claim that this is diabetes friendly. It has to be scientifically ratified. It has to be scientifically driven. So people who consume it get the health advantages of it, and it's not just a marketing gimmick. So we are working on it very well.
Let me add to this. What you find on the wrappers of packaged food products. There are claims stating that it is healthy or it is nutritious, low in sodium, etc. They are just marketing slogans. Okay, a Blue Dot will be something which is more scientific, technical. Again, it should be supported by the government. And it is something which kind of really classifies a product as a diabetes-friendly product rather than being a marketing positioning slogan per se. So just to kind of add to what he said.
No, absolutely, because sometimes, you say healthy something, and they say healthy is just a name. It's, we are not
Absolutely.
misleading you at all, so, and we buy thinking, oh, it's healthy, and okay, so what is the difference between diabetic friendly and diabetic, like you're saying? What are the parameters?
So claiming, so one is that there's nothing like a diabetic food or a diabetic diet. What is a diabetic? What is a food which is ideal for a person with diabetes? It has to have low carbs. It has to have a lot of roughage. You need to eat adequately. Your portion control could be smaller. So a diabetic meal is a healthy meal for every member of the family. It's a healthy meal. So calling a diabetic meal, there's nothing like that with those words. It's a healthy meal for the entire family. So a diabetes friendly meal actually doesn't have refined sugar. The glycemic index of sugar is low of that food. The glycemic load, that's the portion of carbs in that particular food, is low. So low GI, low GL, high roughage food is a diabetes friendly food. So that is a in a nutshell, but there will be further technical things on it. But this is in a nutshell what is a diabetes friendly food. And even if we come close to it, 75-80% close to it, they are in a mess. They are offered wrong food, and the power to say no is not there in most of us. So you just end up consuming wrong food because you don't have choices for it. If you provide choices, which is even 75-80% right, it can make a very meaningful change in people's lives.
Could you give some examples of small changes that we can make in our diet? And what you're saying is that basically a diabetic meal is a balanced meal, which is good for anybody in a family, right? So small changes, and maybe in our Indian diet, we're used to having a sweet. So obviously that's a no-no, right? But is there anything else that we can do? And what is a balanced meal really? Yeah.
So when you say what are the smaller steps, first you start with a smaller plate first. Two, in our Indian culture, it is driven that a person eats a particular number of rotis, for example. So Anuradha, if you eat 3, someday if you eat 2, then it's considered you have eaten less. If you eat 4, it's considered as eaten more. So there's a count. Like there are 4 people, 12 roti banana hai, ya 15 roti banana hai. And if one person eats less, so the first thing which comes into your plate is a carb. So then you add a sabji, then you add something. So we are carbohydrate driven. So even if you have normal food at home, there's a roti count which is put. Or in southern India, it could be the rice spoons. If you have 3 rice spoons, you have eaten proper. If you have had 2, then it's eaten less. So it is not about the overall calories or the composition of meal. It is purely driven by the carb. So first in your plate, your non-carb should come. So in many places, you reach your carb only on the 4th or 5th helping. So the course, or 4th or 5th course. So in India, you add carbs to your plate first. That is a culture which we need to change. So you start with a salad, you start with a soup. If you're a non-vegetarian, you start with something which is tandoor in a non-veg form. You have a chas, you have a soup. Then comes your carbs. So by the time your carbs come in, your 40 to 50% of your overall consumption is over. So you end up eating lesser food. 2, refined flour goes into your stomach faster, digests faster, you end up eating more. So when you eat roughage, when you have a salad first or a chicken first, your roughage intake reduces your consumption of refined flour like carbohydrate. So overall, your post-meal blood sugars go down, your post-meal insulin goes down, your hunger goes down. When you eat slowly, your hunger goes down. So all these things work on your hypothalamus and while you're eating. So anything which can reduce the hunger hormones, give you satiety earlier, which is a high roughage, slow meals will help people with diabetes, obesity, heart disease, blood pressure, overall the non-communicable disorders, all of them. So simple tips is 1, no fast foods. No food which is eaten in a very fast way that, I have 3 minutes to go for a meeting, so let me just consume a roll and run or a sandwich and run. So you need to have adequate time given to you so that you are able to choose these kinds of food. And choosing these kinds of food also difficult, but if you are able to allot 15-20 minutes to your meal, you're able to do that. If you're having only 3 to 4 minutes to have a meal, you'll end up having a wrong meal. So that is number one. So these are all simple ways of making sure you're able to eat right, even when the circumstances may not be right.
Right. And, what you're saying about having so many chapatis is correct, because sometimes I'm I want to eat just 2 chapatis or 1 chapati. Mom will say, no, we made 1 extra for you. So, you end up having, it's already been made. You're right. It's led by that.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That's another culture that we don't waste food. So even if you're not hungry, you will end up eating the whole plate.
Exactly, yeah. So the other thing is now I see a lot of people, and I myself, I'm, maybe I skip one meal at dinner. I might just have something very light, not have rice or chapatis. And I see a lot of people cutting it out altogether. In fact, I've been told, because I'm also diabetic, and I also feel that, it's not just maida or refined flour, maybe even the regular atta or something also tends to affect. So what is your take on that? Can we just cut it out altogether or do less of?
No, I think there are a lot of fad diets. There is your keto diet. There is your intermittent fasting diet. There's a 1 meal a day diet. So they all work on the principle that if you don't eat, your insulin levels are low, and your fats around will start breaking down, which is called lipolysis, and you will lose weight. You know, but this is a short-term process which occurs. Long term, if you start doing that, you may land up with issues. So 1 meal a day, intermittent fast for very long doesn't help, or a keto for very long doesn't help. You will end up with really issues of critical importance. So that is not to be done. You need to have regular meals, repeated meals, but you make sure that the portions are lower. You make sure you are having low glycemic index, low glycemic load food, higher raffinate, which is available. It's not that it's just that you need to make sure you're putting them into your plate, because eating today has become a pleasurable behavior. Eating today is not for hunger. Eating today is for pleasure. That is what helps one part of our hypothalamus. So we look forward to getting pleasure from eating. So that's why the pastries are consumed, the pizzas are consumed, the pastas are consumed, the burgers are consumed. If we eat only for hunger, these things won't be consumed. So there has to be some behavioral change also, which has to kind of complement the type of food that you choose to help us in our diabetes, obesity, all the whole epidemic that is booming in our country.
Yeah, you're right. Food is also a very social act, because like suppose there's a birthday in the office or anything, a celebration in the office. First thing you get are samosas and you cut a cake and everybody is like,
Suppose you're offered a fruit on your birthday, you'll feel offended that why you give me fruits? Why not?
That's only meant for hospital patients.
If I give you a fruit on your birthday or a
Yeah.
fruit cake, a cake made of fruit, you say, what is wrong? I want a chocolate cake. So,
Yeah, and you feel I'm not a patient, and everybody, even if you say, okay, it's getting a bit much, they're like, okay, just have a little bit, and it's very rich. And so what does one do in such cases, really? I mean, honestly, it's not possible to say no every single time. And you said it's social. If you meet somebody outside, especially like in Delhi, it's just you meet for a drink or you meet for a coffee and you end up having something. So that's what it is.
portion control. Whether you like the food, you dislike the food, your portions have to be very small. And that is a behavioral therapy that you need. You may love that kaju katli. You may love that peda. You may love the sundae or any kind of mithai. But it is just for that. And that's how we come to the initiative which Ami will talk about, which is called Mithaas Ehsaas. So from Blue Dot, we ventured into Mithaas Ehsaas, which is about sweetness is not what you actually perceive here. Sensations of sweetness in your mouth. There's a lot of sweetness which you can actually perceive other than eating meetha food, and that is what the origins of Mithaas Ehsaas, which I would like Ami to speak about a little.
Yes, Ami, please tell us. And you're right, if I may add that, when you're socializing, maybe make a shift to meeting the person. That's what it is, and create, instead of just on the food, maybe.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, tell us, Ami. Yeah.
So, Mithaas Ehsaas, as you rightly said, Anuradha, earlier, that, the prevalence of diabetes and other non-communicable diseases are rising. Today, a lot of younger people, so in 40s earlier, when someone would be diagnosed, the doctors would say, oh my God, 40s mein diabetes aaya. Because diabetes was supposed to be, found in people in the age group of 60s. But today, unfortunately, in late 20s also, we are seeing a lot of people coming with diabetes to the center. Okay, so the prevalence of diabetes has rampantly increased, I would say, especially post the pandemic. So our thought process was like, and unfortunately, the World Diabetes Day also comes at a time when it is Diwali. People's mind is all around sweet. Today, you and I, we are sitting here and talking about the Diabetes Day, but I think the whole world around is, celebrating Diwali. There are sweets being exchanged everywhere. Okay, so we were saying that, we can't be preachy. At this point in time, we can't be preachy. We can't tell people, mithai mat khao, diabetes hota hai, ye hai, wo hai. But let us kind of give them a alternative or a parallel perspective to Mithaas. So Mithaas is all about happiness. Like, we enjoy food, we enjoy sweets, and hence we are consuming it. The food and the sweet is making us feel happy. So what is it that kind of bring happiness in your life is Mithaas. It's not the sugar. Okay, sugar is the evil that you need to kind of let go of, but let the other goodness that gives you happiness come into your life. That was the central message. And then we kind of started asking or talking to people who've quit sugar, and they're still very happy in their lives. So we asked them that what makes you happy? So there are some people who are just foodies. Food makes them very happy. So we left those people aside, but the other people who have quit sugar, and we asked them. So one person said that, I engage in music and that's made me very happy. So a retired man who never thought he could sing, he always felt that I'm not even a bathroom singer. He started now performing or doing stage performances. Okay, there is a lady whose sugar was so well controlled for so many years, but in the pandemic, suddenly there was a rise in her sugar. So Dr. Kovil asked her that, what is happening? She said, I'm very upset because my kids are hungry. In the pandemic, I can't go and feed them. So Dr. Kovil said, kids are hungry means, she said, I feed 1,500 to 1,800 stray dogs every day. And they are my kids. And they are, I'm worried what will be happening to them right now in the pandemic, who would be feeding them. And that's making, so that anxiety was making her sugar level go up, So Mithaas for her was the wagging tail. So she could see Mithaas. The other could hear Mithaas. So Mithaas is all about other senses, not just our taste. So that was the central message of Mithaas. And we came up with content which kind of could inspire people. We have a series of that on the YouTube, and we are hoping that we'll continue advocating Mithaas ek Ehsaas rather than Mithaas being sugar, going forward. So that's Mithaas ek Ehsaas initiative in a nutshell.
Yes, basically shift your focus to something else.
Yes.
And you're right, for people who are not foodies, like for me, I don't have a sweet tooth. Yet sometimes I struggle in a social gathering, if there are sweets. But otherwise, I mean, it was a no-brainer for me to leave sugar in tea, and I can't even take it anymore. So I prefer tea without sugar. So I can't have it any other way. So it was very easy for me. But I see friends who are diabetic, and it's really sad to see them.
It's not easy, absolutely.
Yeah.
And culturally, we are so much inclined to sugar, right from the West, where Gujaratis or the Bengalis, any down south, everywhere, we are sugar obsessed.
Also, when we have a good news, we have sugar eaten. When there is a puja, there is sugar. When there is a festival, there is sugar. When there is a celebration, there is
prasad hai.
So we do not. So when we say a person is foodie or has a sweet tooth, it is an addictive behavior actually. It's an addictive behavior, and you can actually get out of it. That is why the central theme of Mithaas ek Ehsaas is that you don't have to taste sugar for the Mithaas. You can do so many things in your life which gives the brain the same amount of pleasurable feeling that you get when you eat sugary food. So the central theme is that experience the Mithaas without eating sugary food.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to look at it. And I saw some of your content on YouTube, the Sholay video and with the puppets, right, that you've done. Could you talk about that also? Is that part of the Rang De Neela initiative?
That's right. So Rang De Neela, again, we kind of we read a report by the WHO. It said that, arts and health, they seemingly look very unrelated. But they have deep connections. So art can promote, positive health behavior. Art can prevent ill health. Art can also help in management of acute, chronic, and mental health conditions. So then there are some experiments which have been done in the Western world those have been cited. Like people who go to the operation theater are given music therapy so that their pulse comes down. People who are having chemotherapy, ongoing chemotherapy, they are immersed in an art therapy or art intervention, and the perception of pain is lower, so on and so forth. There are many such, and the puppets interestingly came, bedside. So after the operation, the post-op recovery of the patient is faster when the puppet show is done. There are puppet performing at the bedside. So these are some of the things that we've seen, in the Western world. So, and nothing like that was there in India. So we said, let's kind of, look at it. And, we started with, art for health advocacy. Okay, because the health literacy in India is very low. Like Anuradha, you rightly mentioned that, you may be probably academically very highly qualified. But when it comes to your health awareness, it's very low. GI, GL, we have to really Google. Or we have to even Google, can honey be substituted, for sugar if I am a diabetic? So our health literacy levels are very low. And it is 50% of the population in the US is health illiterate, and 90% population in India is health illiterate. That's some of the reports finding, so we, 9 out of 10 people are health illiterates in India. So the health literacy levels are very low. So we said, let's make use of puppets, which is performing arts, and kind of create small videos which kind of give education on subjects like sleep apnea, insulin initiation, sexual dysfunction in men, etc., etc. So we have 16 topics and 26 Kathputlis, which are look-alike of popular characters from Bollywood films. And, we have these in a storytelling format. Content which is very scientific, delivered by experts from across India. They are doctors of national and international repute, and hence they bring a lot of credibility, which probably Virat Kohli does not bring in the medical science world. But the doctor and Virat Kohli, the Virat Kohli puppet or look-alike can, really grab the attention and, engage the audience, and the doctors can then do the selling of, health content. So that was the thought process. But in short, Rang De Neela, what we did for the last 24 months is doctors are working with artists. So till date, I think at least 30 odd doctors from across India would have visited artists in their workshops in rural pockets of India. And they engage in creating an art that the artist is traditionally creating. And we brought all these paintings. Last year, there was a cultural event where we brought 16 paintings from across India to Mumbai. We exhibited and auctioned it. And the auction amount was donated to COVID warriors. So we look at this initiative at 3 pillars. Health is the core, but art is mainly our social responsibility. And when we say social responsibility, we are committed to bring the artists some alternative streams of revenue, showcase their work, promote or conserve the dying art forms. So that's the second pillar. And third is philanthropy or, self-reliance. So if some money that we can raise by crowdsourcing can probably help a section of the society. So that's the thought process of Rang De Neela. So anything, Dr.
So I think Ami has put it up very well, is that today also when you go to a doctor and the doctor says that मीठा mat khao, exercise karo, jaldi so jao, all these things, the patient said हाँ सब करते. But when he leaves the cabin, it's not registered with. Says कि डॉक्टर का काम था बोलना, सिगरेट मत पियो, दारू मत पियो. He says कि डॉक्टर का काम था बोलना है सब. And his wife says नहीं डॉक्टर ने कहा है सिगरेट मत बोलना. डॉक्टर का तो काम है ये. But when you have in the threads of health, we have used situations, we have used characters which are identifiable to our lay people, and we have made the voiceover of doctors who are top doctors across India. So the information given is absolutely right, but the source of information looks like it's coming from a Virat Kohli or from an Anand Mahindra or any of these, or a Singham, and so it engages that person, and why the same person when he walked out of the clinic didn't think that it was important for the doctor because he didn't register it. But here he registers it in an entertainment fashion, and he sees a messiah or a hero of his, like a Singham, telling him to quit alcohol. And it can give you liver that has more value than the doctor who's practiced for so long giving him that. So that messaging helps these people, and I hope that this becomes, we hope that this kind of where we haven't used, I wouldn't say entertainment, but we have not put that entertainment in our health communication to make it interesting for our patient, because a patient is an evolved person. He's consuming OTT, he's going here, he's traveled the world, he's gone everywhere, even across India. So he needs some amount of engagement. He needs to turn around and see and hear it and listen to that advice, So that is what we have tried to do with Threads of Health, and whatever we have done till now, we've still not released it, but it looks very nice, not because we have done it, not because we are but it is very easygoing stuff for anybody to consume. And just take the message कि अरे इन्होंने अच्छा काम किया, but वो core messaging अच्छा था. The core message is there for them to take back and put it into practice.
So a few days back, we were at Geneva, the World Health Organization office. We were kind of showcasing what we've done. And in the room, we had an Indian, we had a Russian, and we had a Chinese. And we were kind of showcasing our puppet shows to them. And each one had a smile on their face. And the Indian was laughing loud, because she could understand the dialogue, she could relate with the characters, etc. But the Russian and the Chinese also said that, this looks very interesting. Probably a local face that we relate with in Russia or in China, that can probably, because health awareness is low everywhere. In the US, if we said 50% are not health literate, it's the health literacy is required everywhere. So people found this, and I think the World Health Organization is one of the things that they kind of, do a lot is the awareness and advocacy. So they found this quite interesting as well. So, we feel nice about it, So, yeah.
Yeah, I watched a bit of the Sholay one I mentioned, where, the Amitabh Bachchan lookalike puppet, and Jay and Veeru, so, he goes to Mossy Ji and he's taking Veeru's match to her and she's asking about his healthy habits. So it's quite entertaining and of course, very informative as well. So that's nice. And you're right, even for me, we Google, I want to have mangoes in summer, So I'm like, and there are various studies when you Google. So one will say, no, it's not good. Another will say, latest study shows that it's very good. You can have every day. You can have 2 also. Mangoes are in fact very good. So then you tend to listen to that because yes, that's what you want to hear. So,
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So whatever you want to hear, it's there on the net.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that you're right, health literacy is very, very low, 90% you're saying in India. So tell me what have you encountered in the course of your work and life, maybe with family and other people that friend circle, etc., that prompted you to do this, that made you realize that, yes, we need to do something like this?
I think that food and culture come a lot in the way of treatment of disorders. So you have a grandmama's recipe at home. You're traditionally told that few things are good. You have marketing which says that this is natural, this is herbal. So these are culturally believed that they are good. So there are a lot of hurdles that we as allopathic practitioners have to face. And these hurdles come from a lot of decades of these myths and misconceptions being there. So our first thing is to make sure that a person with these non-communicable disorders needs to first accept the problem. Majority do not do well on their lifestyle because they deny the problem. They say कि वो laboratory गलत था. मैं अभी शादी में गया था 10 दिन के लिए इसीलिए मेरा शुगर और कोलेस्ट्रॉल बढ़ गया है. There is a reasoning for it. मैंने कल ही पार्टी किया इसलिए ऐसा हो गया. So First thing is that we have to sit down and say, yes, you have a problem. Let's accept that there is a problem. Let's not throw it under the carpet. It is there. And once you accept the problem, then we have to tell them that you cannot keep the problem on your head. Once you've accepted it, is that you have to grow with the problem. You have to take it along, and whatever you invest in terms of time, space, mind, money, everything will eventually help you. So that process where the patient needs to understand that he has got a problem, not because of something he has done wrong, and two, the doctor is not punishing him with medications, and third, that I will not get addicted to these medications, are three main concepts we need to take out from people's mind. That is why we need to get more innovative in our communication and narrative to patients, because this is there in the patient's mind कि एक बार मैंने दवा लिया मतलब lifelong मुझे दवा लेना पड़ेगा और मुझे ये problem है नहीं. So these are the things that we try to solve with this. Yes.
So Anuradha, I'll give you my take on it. He's given you, because he's a practicing doctor, he sees patients, so it's his side of the story. But my side of the story is very interesting. There was a patient education session that, a lot of doctors have been doing. And there are live videos that they kind of post on Instagram and Facebook. They do YouTube live. And unfortunately, you see the viewership count is so poor. Sometimes you feel that inke OPD mein, you don't get appointments to meet this doctor for almost 2 months, 3 months. Their appointments are packed. They are not available. And when they are available on YouTube, where you can go live Q&A, they're not really, the content is not getting consumed. So why is this really, so I jokingly told him, look at this esports guy. He's playing PUBG or Dota, whatever. I don't understand what he was playing, but he was playing and there were so many millions of likes and people are willing to donate and people are commenting, liking, they are asking questions. I said, my God, this is so engaging, and why an expert like you, if they are sitting there, why is there no audience, So one of the things that I really find is, it's drab, boring. So content also has to be interesting. So you, even if you, you're doing, delivering health content, and I personally feel, health content is unsought. We don't want to consume health content. Okay. We don't want to buy an insurance policy. We feel that nothing will go wrong. Okay. Aayega tab dekha jayega. These are some of the statements which are in our mind, in our subconscious mind. Okay. So you have to make it mainstream. How do you take health content mainstream? Can it become mainstream? And there are many, being a marketer or a brand person, I've seen that a lot of themes which are non-mainstream or unsought have become mainstream because of the right way of taking it to the market. Okay, so that was my motivation to kind of get into these kind of initiatives along with doctors. So that's my side of the story.
No, you're right, because all kinds of things do well now. Somebody is just eating and people are watching them eat. So
why are you watching?
Yeah, or somebody's just playing. I asked my nephew, they're playing like, some game and they're watching, so I don't know. So that's true, but yeah, when a doctor, who's talking, who's not available for you in the clinic and, you're not paying attention. Very true. Yeah. Really. But, another thing, all this health content, there are a lot of doctors, I watch some of them and they're very sincere, like, you are very sincere in their efforts to, spread the knowledge, and they do it in bite-sized, point-wise, 30-second videos. It's really nice. But the thing is that sometimes, taking care of your health feels like a full-time job. Like a friend I spoke to, just before this, she was like, I sometimes tell her, that, do you want it? She's like, no, I need to continue. I said, even I'm diabetic. I go to work, So she was saying that, it's, she herself said it, ask, because it's very difficult, when you're at home, it's still easy to take care of your health and monitor your food and do your walks and things. Rather, when you're working, it's very difficult. So even for me, sometimes I watch a lot of content and then I'm like, no, I just cannot deal with this, because it means that I have to, from morning to night, just think about this. So
Anuradha, it's like this, because the Indian mind tells us that, like, for example, today everybody is walking and exercising. But 20 years back, if somebody was going to a park, he would be asked कि आपको diabetes है, heart problem है. Well, if he says no, तो आप walk क्यों कर रहे? So you should exercise only if you have a problem. Was the mindset. Today it has changed. Today it's drastically changed. But if we accept a few things, if you are able to take some time out, walk to the station, take the stairs, don't take the lift, eat on time. So these are, you need to be up there to make sure that we are putting it into practice. That is the only thing that, it is very easy to eat a fast food. It is very difficult to eat a healthy food. You have to plan, you have to need time, all those things. So if we decide on it, that is why I think health literacy is important, because just that drug or that 10-15 minutes with the doctor once in 3 months or 6 months is not going to help.
So another one more interesting thing, I was just kind of reading. So I'm in a group of doctors, and some doctors were kind of exchanging messages today, Dhanteras, So the deity that we kind of all worship on Dhanteras is Dhanvantari, and Lord Dhanvantari is believed to be the Lord of health. Okay, but conventionally it was health and wealth, Dhan. Okay, Dhanvantari. Okay, but the association of the deity with health was very strong. Considering that our ancestors were very focused on health, unlike our generation, which is now very focused on wealth. And then again, this is, I'm not a mythologist or anything, but I just kind of, some good WhatsApp, discussions I'm discussing with you. And there were a few doctors, they saying that, yeah, you had alternative deities for wealth, which kind of came up, you have Lord Kubera and you have Lord Lakshmi and there's a Mahalakshmi. So, for wealth, you have 3 deities, but for medicine, you just had one, Lord Dhanvantari. So somewhere, Lord Dhanvantari was ideally the wealth and health Lord, but today Lord Dhanvantari is only known for health. Okay, but because health and wealth were equated, they were the same. It was interchangeable. It was an interchangeable term. If you're healthy or wealthy, But today, unfortunately, we probably feel, our works are very demanding. Our life is very stressed. So it's a full-time job. Health is a full-time job. You're right.
It is really. And more than being a full-time job, you feel like you have to think about it all the time, but I guess it's not as difficult also, like what Dr. Kovil is also saying. It's not that difficult because it's just small changes in habits, because I know that.
Not difficult if you accept it. That's what sometimes some people take a few years to accept. Some people are able to accept in a few days. But once you accept it, so that is why the terminology in diabetes has also changed. Earlier, we used to say diabetic. Today, we say a person with diabetes. So it is no longer type 2 diabetic. It's a people or person with diabetes. So, you are an individual. You are a CA, you are a journalist, you are this, and you have diabetes. Doesn't make you a diabetic. You are a person with diabetes. So do not make diabetes the only thing in your life, or diabetes the driver or the negative force in your life. You are a person. You have diabetes. Accept it and take it along. That's what is the concept across the globe.
Right. That's not my identity. Let's put it that
way. Exactly. That's not your identity at all.
Yeah. Of course, like you have a headache one day, that doesn't make you,
Yes.
That's not your full identity.
Yes.
But like what you're saying, that habits, because I see like what I could eat, earlier, I cannot even conceive of eating that stuff today. Like maybe I could have a burger, anytime I wanted. Now I don't even crave it. I'm not interested. So these things do change with time also.
So you're right, because if you look at it today, is that burger was not the natural meal for India any which ways, So the colonization which occurred 3 decades back has actually made us sit in this mess today. So even today's 4-year-old has his birthdays at a burger party only, and he gets acclimatized, or he recognizes these food which are not his traditional food very early in life, and he doesn't consider this as wrong. So for a 4-year-old, a burger or a fry is not considered as wrong food. When he grows up and goes
Even
to
for
a
us,
doctor,
I think. Even for us when we go.
exactly.
And
Exactly. So
fries
when
are
we
something
go
you
to the
can't resist.
doctor
Yeah.
and the doctor said, don't have fries, don't have burger. And he said, "Arey yaar, 15 saal se to main yahi kha raha hu." What is the doctor saying? So this is because we have changed. We have changed and we have not changed for the right in terms of the food industry. And when we talk about this, also there's a lot of Indian mithai which is there out to be sold, and we don't know ingredients being put. There is no, sort of mark on anything. It could be very high refined, non-esterified fat. We don't know. So there's a lot of sweet and milk-based sweetened confectionaries which are there in India, which are consumed up, down, and center. So, so that's also a huge problem.
Yeah, but I'm in Lucknow right now, and even here, in fact, like there are a lot of the popular sweet shops. They have low sugar and diabetic versions also, sugar-free versions. So is that healthy? Is that safe to have?
So one is that that is where the blue dot comes in actually. That who actually authorizes it as diabetes friendly or low sugar. So many a time when you have it on a juice, no added sugar, it just the reverse that there is sugar in it, but we have not added extra on. When we say high fiber biscuits, so it is just 3 to 4% higher fiber as compared to the others. So when you say high fiber, it's not actually high fiber. It's 3% higher, which is not going to change anything inside your body. So I think that is why the regulations need to come in, and I think slowly we are improving. There are people who have become more conscious, but I think from a federal authority perspective also, we need to make sure we are able to categorize food very, very well. And if that happens in our country in the next decade or so, we can see everything from diabetes to cancer going down.
Yes, I hope that happens. And another thing you mentioned, when we're talking about it being a full-time job, and sometimes, you see people who just don't care about their health, and on the other extreme, people who are like, of course, it's very admirable. They're running 10 kilometers, they're also going to the gym in the evening, they're doing things like that, constantly eating healthy. But what you mentioned that, sometimes just taking the stairs instead of the lift, walking to the station, even that helps. So for a person with diabetes, you sometimes put it off because you feel, look, I can't do that much, So how much is okay? Like even if you can maybe 20 minutes of a brisk walk or just a walk, or even if you break it down to 10 minutes a day, does that help?
So that's a good question, because what the recommendation is, the American Diabetes Association recommendation is 150 to 180 minutes of aerobic activity, which is a walk in a week. So it's around 30 to 30 minutes 5 times a week is enough. The durability and the consistency of it is going to give you results. Not like you've not walked for 10 days, let me do the 11th day, let me consume everything. No. So 150 to 180 minutes per week is not really high. If you're able to put that much in on a regular basis over a long period of time, you're going to get health benefits.
Even if you break it up during the day, like you don't do 30 minutes at one shot, maybe you do 10 or 15
So
minutes.
there has to be a warm up and a cool down phase and an in-between phase where you do your optimum activity. So if you're going to have short bursts of 5 minutes, that's not going to help. So to have a warm up, cool down, at least 20 minutes at one time will be required. So that time we will have to devote. And that 20 minutes will make sure you live another 20 years.
Yeah, that's a good thought. But tell me, like this for both of you, like you have for your initiatives, your community building initiatives, you've even built to villages and things like that. So when you see healthy habits, food eating habits, things like that, what is the difference that you see between urban life and life there? Is there any difference? Are they better than us?
Oh, that's a perception. I think we all are catching up, So even in rural India, the prevalence of diabetes would be as high but it's underdiagnosed or it is undiagnosed. So that's the but yeah, the way they are, so they are culturally, they are also very much like their urban counterparts. They are foodie, they are consuming a lot of food, they are eating a lot of wrong food. Maybe they are not eating burgers, but they are eating other wrong foods. The forms may change, but food is wrong. Okay, so that's one. Second is their physical activities have also gone down. Earlier, their physical activities were much higher than the urban counterparts, but right now their physical activities have gone down. So yes, they are also in equal mess as the urban counterparts. So rural and urban, I would say that
So the rural is catching up with urban. There's still almost 60 to 70% prevalence as compared to urban India. But as she was talking about activity, now I can just give you a very small example of Konkan in Maharashtra. So I'd been to Konkan 25 years back, and I saw this change when I spoke to them. So in the 80s, they used to have small boats. They used to go out, put one net, get that much of fish, come back. The women used to walk for close to 30-35 kilometers, okay, sell that fish, come back, earn a little bit of money, and they would go to sleep. Okay. Over a period of time, they started getting motorboats. They got motorized nets. Okay. So the catch was 30 times of what they were catching. Women did not have to walk for 35 kilometers. Women had rickshaws. Okay. So rickshaw guy will go, they will get 30 times more the amount of money. They will come back and then eat a lot, enjoy a lot, drink a lot. So what we see in urban India is also happening in rural India. So the same, you're undergoing this change across, and that change is occurring at a very fast pace, and our genetic genes are developed to store food. That's where the problem is. The Indian gene is developed to store food because 100 years back, you will not get food every day. So tomorrow you may not get food, to store food for tomorrow or day after. And when you get food, store it. So when that kind of gene get exposed to too much of food and lesser expenditure of food, everything gets stored, and that causes all the problems.
So this phenomenon is called thrifty genotype. It's got a scientific term as well. And the whole concept, like, you can equate it with a camel. Okay, a camel kind of can go on in the desert for a month because it stores water. Okay, so it's the same gene. So we have a gene that kind of
stores food in our system, and when that gene gets abundance, it gets stored. It keeps on getting stored, and we keep on getting abundant. Earlier it was daily, but this is now hourly abundance. So what happens is that everything gets stored, and that is why our sizes have increased across.
Yeah, I can understand. We tend to hoard even otherwise in life. So
Very true. Very true. That's the habit, that cultural habits we have.
even our stomachs are doing that.
Absolutely. Our guts are doing it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So one question I want to ask you, which is personally I want to know, there's a lot of focus on ghee right now. That, ghee is healthy, and yes, of course it is, one, believes that. How much of it, like you're saying, we're on a low carb diet for diabetics and all that's also in, keeping persons with diabetes in mind, and also generally how much ghee, should one have in a day?
So it's like this, ghee is a saturated fat. The amount is always the key, whatever you want to do. Portion control is number one principle in diabetes. So like almonds or like kajus, for example, a small amount in moderation is going to help you. Similarly, ghee in very small, if it is just made for your addition on rotis, it's a very small amount. But there are a lot of people who consume a lot of ghee thinking it is healthy. It is not. Saturated fat will go up if excess amounts of ghee are taken. But if you are going to just use it as an additive somewhere, absolutely no problem.
Yeah, like you can use it for a tadka in the dal and things on your roti, that's fine. Yeah.
Absolutely no problem.
Anything else that you feel like, traditionally we feel that, this food is just great for us, but it's not? like maybe, like you're saying almonds or millets. Millets is as having a resurgence. It's a superfood right now.
I think people across have this question about rice, bananas, wheat. I think it's always got to do with the portion of the carb. All these are refined. The glycemic index is high. Your sugar will go up. But as far as you have smaller portions, you're not going to do any harm. Potatoes is another thing. Can I consume a potato? Once summer comes in, can I have a mango? Is mango poison for a person with diabetes? That's the kind of myth one has. No, it's not. So mango has fiber, has decent amount of calories, has got multi-minerals. But if you consume too much, if you have amras made out of it and you don't know, one amras bowl has got 3 mangoes, 2 mangoes, 5 mangoes, nobody knows. So a mango, half a mango a day is not going to hurt a person with diabetes at all. So it's always going to be portion. So once you put that principle of portion into your behavior, you will automatically not go wrong.
Yeah. That's important. Yeah. And so portion control is key, really, what you say. Yes. And what about millets, brown rice?
It is the millet revolution occurring in India. If the palatability is good and people like it, it is very good to consume. Problem is that people eat millet at one meal and then go out and eat a completely digress completely and eat a different meal. So what I have seen is that people actually take something to sin somewhere else. So it's like this, maine breakfast healthy khaya hai, so my lunch I can do something wrong. So that is the millets. If you're going to consume, it's very good. Okay, but problem is that everybody should be able to, the palatability has to be, the people should like eating it also. So if you like eating it, if you enjoy eating it, absolutely fine to have.
And brown rice, is that a good substitute? Because they say that
brown rice glycemic index is lower it has husk in it as compared to white rice. Yes, it is better if you can. But again, see, people in South India do not consume white rice. So if you give them white rice, it's not easy for them to consume. Similarly, people in North India do not consume the brown or the parboiled rice. So if you give it to them, it's not. So if you're able to accept the palate, because this is not like one day at a time, or one day in a month, is daily. So if you like it, you can consume it. Absolutely. It's better than white rice.
What if when you boil the rice, you take out the starch and then you cook it again? Is that healthy?
That is also healthy. That is also healthy because you remove some starch from the food. That is healthy too. Yes.
Okay, great. So thanks so much for this. Anything you want to add about your campaigns that you're doing all over India?
Last word from Ami.
Yeah. Ami, you can tell us.
No, I think we've covered it very well, Anuradha, and thank you for kind of bringing us on this show. It was very interesting, 3 people from diverse backgrounds coming and discussing diabetes, and added to it that, you are also a person living with diabetes. So, it's kind of a very interesting conversation. We've really covered whatever we had to say, and thank you for having us here with you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Kovil, anything you want to add?
I think that I think there's a growing economic need and a social need that we are able to communicate right about non-communicable disorders in India. It's a huge need. It's an unmet need, and if we are able to capitalize on so many other things, we need to capitalize on this growing need that our people with any other non-communicable disorder needs to know the correct information about their disorder, and what to do and what not to do. If we are able to do that, it will add a lot of value in people's lives. They will live longer. They will contribute to the GDP of the country. Everybody will be healthier and wealthier, I would say.
Healthier and wealthier is the key, right? Yeah. Thank you so much. Even for me, like personally, it's been very enriching. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anuradha.